Imagine waking up and the air hurting to breathe. Imagine your eyelashes freezing in seconds. Imagine touching metal with your bare hand, burning your skin. Imagine going out to find food being a decision you might regret. This isn't a movie scene. It's not a scientific experiment in the Arctic. It's Tuesday morning in Oymyakon, a real town, with real people, in the coldest inhabited place on Earth, the record no one wants to break. Oymyakon is buried deep in the heart of eastern Siberia, more than 900 kilometers from Yakutsk, the nearest city of any size. There are no modern highways that easily reach it, no commercial airport, just a road that locals call, without irony, the Road of Bones. Because it was built with the forced labor of Soviet prisoners, many of whom died during its construction and were buried under the asphalt itself. And in winter, even that road becomes treacherous. In January 1924, a Soviet meteorologist recorded a temperature of minus 64.4 degrees Celsius in this village. To this day, it remains one of the lowest temperatures ever recorded in a permanently inhabited place in the history of humankind. To put it in perspective, your home freezer reaches minus 18 degrees Celsius. The South Pole in winter averages minus 49 degrees Celsius. Oymyakon surpasses both. And people actually live there. When the cold changes the rules of everything. At minus 50 degrees Celsius, the physical world behaves differently. The mercury in traditional thermometers stops working because it freezes. That's why the inhabitants use alcohol thermometers, which can withstand lower temperatures. Ordinary metal becomes brittle like glass and can shatter with a single blow. Rubber loses its elasticity and breaks. Cell phones shut down on their own within minutes because lithium batteries fail below a certain temperature. Even the air changes. When moisture from breath or the ground evaporates and then freezes instantly upon contact with the frigid air, a phenomenon occurs that locals call the whisper of the stars, a soft, constant murmuring sound that happens when tiny ice particles collide in the air. It's only audible when it's so cold that the sound seems to have texture. And if you think that's poetic, wait until you hear what happens to human bodies. The human body at its limits. Exposed skin begins to suffer frostbite in less than 10 minutes at these temperatures. First, it turns white and hard. Then, it loses all sensation. If not treated promptly, the tissue dies. The residents of Oymyakon don't go out without covering every inch of skin. They wear multiple layers of clothing, preferring animal furs, which retain heat better than any modern synthetic material. Traditional reindeer hide boots, called torbasa, are superior to any industrially manufactured hiking boot because they were designed over centuries for precisely this climate. Even the way you breathe changes. From childhood, the inhabitants learn not to inhale the frigid air directly through their mouths. The extreme cold can irritate and damage the lungs if inhaled forcefully. They breathe slowly, through their noses, allowing the nasal passages to warm the air before it reaches the lungs. The human body is remarkably adaptable, but here that adaptation begins from the first day of life. Machines never rest. In most of the world, you turn off your car when you get home. In Oymyakon, that decision can leave you stranded the next day. At extreme temperatures, engine oil thickens to almost solid. Hydraulic fluids fail. Rubber seals shrink and crack. Trying to start an engine that spent the night frozen can permanently damage it, or simply prevent it from starting. That's why, during the coldest months, many vehicles are left running for hours, sometimes for entire days. Some homeowners build special heated garages. Others wrap their engines in thermal blankets. Some even use lighters under the engine's crankcase to keep it warm before starting. The fuel is special too. Conventional diesel gels at low temperatures and stops flowing. In Oymyakon, they use fuel blends adapted to the Arctic climate, formulated to remain liquid even in the most extreme cold. A vehicle here is not a luxury or a convenience. It's survival equipment, and it's treated as such. A village without soft ground beneath Oymyakon lies something that makes everything even more complicated: permafrost. The ground is permanently frozen to a depth of 300 to 400 meters. That means you can't dig easily. You can't build using conventional methods. Underground water pipes are nearly impossible to maintain without freezing. Houses must be built on elevated stilts to prevent the heat from the building from melting the permafrost below and causing subsidence. Even burying the dead is a challenge. The ground won't budge. To dig a grave, the inhabitants must use fire or hot water to thaw the earth layer by layer, a process that can take days. The earth itself is a constant obstacle. Nature in this place isn't a backdrop, it's an active adversary. The world's largest refrigerator. There's something ironic about all this. In Oymyakon, no one needs a freezer. The outside world serves that purpose perfectly. Meat, fish, milk, frozen in blocks. Everything is stored outside, in sheds or simply stacked against the house wall. The temperatures guarantee perfect preservation for months. Freshly caught fish freeze almost instantly upon being taken out of the water. A traditional dish of the region called stroganina consists of thin slices of fish or meat cut directly from a frozen block and eaten raw. There is no cooking. It's unnecessary. The cold has already done the work. The diet in Oymyakon is high in fats and animal proteins out of necessity. The human body needs more calories to generate heat in these conditions. Fresh vegetables are a near impossible luxury in winter. What grows, what is hunted, what is fished, that is what is eaten. The school doesn't close, almost never. One of the things that most surprises visitors, the local school remains open even in temperatures of minus 45 degrees Celsius. Only when the temperature drops below minus 52 degrees Celsius for the youngest children, or minus 58 for the oldest, are classes suspended. These thresholds are officially defined. Otherwise, the children go to school, walking, bundled up in layers. Parents calculate exactly how long it will take them to get there, making sure no child stays outside longer than necessary. It's everyday logistics that would sound absurd anywhere else in the world. But here, it's just Tuesday. Why did they stay? It's the question anyone would ask. Why live here? The answer has layers. Some are descendants of nomadic peoples who inhabited these lands long before modern borders existed. For them, this territory isn't hostile. It's home. It's where their ancestors are buried, where they know every river and every tree. During the Soviet era, the government established permanent settlements in these remote areas to consolidate territorial control and exploit natural resources. Schools were built, jobs were assigned, communities were created. When the Soviet Union fell, many of those communities stayed because they no longer had anywhere else to go, or because they simply didn't want to leave. And others stayed for reasons harder to explain. Some people describe a profound connection with the silence of this place, with the sky that, on clear nights, fills with auroras of colors that no photograph can truly capture, with the feeling that in this place, every day you survive is a true victory. Extreme cold tourism. In recent years, Oymyakon has gained an unexpected audience. Tourists, people from all over the world, travel thousands of kilometers to experience the most extreme cold a human being can feel in an inhabited place. They make the trip in January, in the dead of winter. They pay considerable prices for the transportation and accommodation package. And they arrive with cameras, with specialized clothing, eager to say they were there. The locals welcome them with hospitality and a mixture of pride and curiosity. For the visitor, it's a week-long adventure. For the resident, it's simply their life. There's something about that difference that says it all about this place. The end of the world that chose not to end. Oymyakon shouldn't exist as a permanent village. Modern logic would clearly state this. It's too isolated, the climate too dangerous, the costs of living there too high. And yet, there it is. Some 500 people wake up every morning, gauge the cold, put on their layers and live. Not as victims of geography, not as prisoners of the climate, but as people who have found a way to exist in a place the rest of the world would consider impossible. On a planet where more and more places resemble one another, where the same shops appear on the same streets in every city, where the world becomes more predictable every year. Oymyakon reminds you that there are corners where nature still reigns, where humankind doesn't dominate the environment, where survival is an active verb, not a metaphor, and where every day that ends is a victory.